yeah.
And then there'll always be, we don't ever want it to happen, but there will always be a situation where that person, specifically my role as General Manager of the Early Childhood Centres, there will be a time where the responsibility that I have, kicks in more so than ever, and I'm held accountable for something that's happening. It could be a major event. That's when that role becomes sorry, I'm not articulating that well. That leadership responsibility just sits where there's things that only I will be able to take accountability for, and that's okay. That's part of my job, and I understand that going into the role.
Yeah, the buck stops with you.
Yeah, pretty much.
I agree with that as well. I think to be an effective leader, you need to think like that. You need to think where everything's my fault. Because why I say that, and it's funny, even if it may not be, but that allows you to actually really look into things a bit deeper, and I'm trying to develop that as well. Where even if I got into a car accident, for example, I'll be thinking, shit, I should have left the house half an hour earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you think about it, there will, if anything does go wrong, it's always a combination of things, and if you look into it and you go, if I implemented this earlier, and if I did it this way, and I had another mechanism to as a backup plan, and so on and so forth, then maybe this mess would not have happened. And
yeah, that's it. And I think as an effective leader, you are always learning, and you're looking at things, and so when something does happen, exactly what you said, you're sort of thinking, well, how could I have supported that person to so that didn't happen? What could I have done? And you start to reflect on your own practice and what you're doing. And so, being an early childhood manager or leader or general manager in my case, we're still very much reflecting on what's happening. So at the end of every week, I'm reflecting on what happened, what didn't happen, what should have happened, and I think that that's so important, and we should never lose that. And so with teachers going through registration and, certification, that's such an important part of being a really good educator, is being able to reflect on everything and look at what you could do better.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think normally when a disaster happens, it doesn't just happen out of the blue.
No.
You actually see little telltale signs along the way, and it happens to be that 1 out of 100 incident. But you get a couple of those.
Yeah.
And then if you were alert and aware, and you dealt with it there and then, that 1 out of 100 incident may not have happened if you looked at the cues, the signs early on.
Totally, yeah. And we are constantly looking for ways to mitigate disasters happening and having those conversations, which is why leaders need to be meeting with their people more regularly, touching base with them, and again going back to getting to know people and what's going on for them, and being able to sort of put things in place before a disaster happens, especially with around staff conflict and things like that. Being engaged with your people, we know that there's a personality clash, and so what can we do to mitigate that from blowing
That's
up?
a prime example, right? They don't start off from day one arguing and punching each other, right? It's a little bit of a brush here, or a snappy remark there, and then if you don't do anything about it, then it starts to fester and grow.
That's it. And the leaders have a responsibility to make sure that they do know what's going on in their centres. You can't just get into a leadership position and